a heart for God. Bible speaking in book of Nehemiah chapter 2 and verse 1 to 19. There was a man in that city, and during the reign of the king of Artaxerxes, and this man was called Nehemiah. He was a man after God. That's why the topic is a heart for God. And Nehemiah, he rose up and to attend to his duty in the palace, but his countenance was very sad, and this really was disturbing. The king asked him, Nehemiah, why is the countenance sad? And saying that you are not sick, and saying that now it's a thing of the trouble of the heart that has befallen you. And Nehemiah said, King, live long. How will I be happy? How will I be having a good countenance? Saying that the place where the sepulchre of my father is lying down in waste, and the people thereof, they are languishing, and also the gate of that city of Jerusalem, it has been burned down with fire. And the king asked him, what do you want me to do for you? Do you want to go permanently, or you want to go and return? And he said, this is what I desire from you, O king, that you may give me a letter, and so that I will be able to give it to the man in charge of the river, and also the king keeper forest, so that they will be able to give me timber that I will be able to use to build the gate that is scattered, that is burned with fire. And the king granted him his desire. And Nehemiah, he went ahead to do this work. Therefore, in Nehemiah chapter 2 and verse 2, wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, saying, thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was so afraid. So the hallmark of our salvation is that our heart gets sold out to God. The hallmark of salvation is that our heart gets sold out to God. If there's ever a man that God has used, this man's heart has been sold out to God. If there's a man that God ever used, this man's heart has been sold out to God. It is when our heart is sold out to God that empower us to be able to bear fruit and to be able to make the difference in this kingdom. Bible speaking in the book of Psalm number 42 and verse 1 to 2, and saying, as the hart panted after the water brooks, so panted my soul after thee, O God. My soul thirsted for the living God. So, it is a thing of the heart for every believer to have his heart to pant after God, to look unto the affairs of the kingdom of God, because the earth is the Lord and all the fullness thereof. Every human being on the face of the earth, they are the greatest treasure that God has upon the earth. Everything God has created, He created it for His own pleasure and for serving Him And therefore we say here that when we say the people of God, they are suffering in affliction, we must be able to have a heart for God, to say how the people of God need to be rescued from every of their oppression. There is a time limit that a man can stay inside a pit that is dry and having no water. For them to survive, there is a time limit. There is a time limit for a person that is drowning in the river. If rope is not sent to him, or if there is no measure to rescue that person, the person will not be able to stay long in that river where he is wallowing for life. Therefore, how do we demonstrate
our heart for God. Number one, we must look out for things of God. We must be actively involved to know the state of things in the house of God. The psalmist said, thy servant taketh pleasure in the stones of Zion, and favor the dust thereof. Even the little dust that is in the house of God. We must be mindful of how to make sure that the house of God is in good hands. Therefore, number two, how do we demonstrate our heart for God? You must never be happy with ungodliness. When things that are not godly, when you see it working out, you see the devil just misbehaving and messing up God's people. We demonstrate our heart to God by resisting the devil and say no. We must not follow the status quo of men. Instead, let our affection, let our heart be fixed on things of God. When you say the house of God, languishing, yes, they need you. They need you in the house of God for you to do this and for you to do that. And the person is not there. Nehemiah, he said, why should I continue to enjoy all the goodness of the palace? Why the house of God? Why it lies languishing? And the people of God, they are sorrowing. They are not happy. I am here. Everything is well with me. Everything is well with me. Why should I enjoy the pleasure of sin for a season? Why should I continue to enjoy the pleasure of sin? It's just for a while. It's not going to last long. Why I see the house of my father? Why I see it languishing? And the people in the place, they are complaining. Number three, how to demonstrate our heart to God. You must take action. People with heart for God, they always take action. They don't just talk that I will do things. They don't just talk and I'm born again. Your confession of being born again without action means nothing. Confession that you are born again without action to serve God, it means nothing. Because in the kingdom of God, there are many departments that is waiting and line follow that nobody is attending to it. So many things in the house of God are wasting and are begging. They are begging that you should come and attend to it, just like Nehemiah. He has a heart for God. He has a heart for God. Therefore, he did something that could even displease him. He had to fast. He had to pray. He had to carry on a sad countenance and saying that he get his demand. The same thing Esther did it. Esther, she fasted even with her maids. And she said, if I go to the king and demanded for what I needed, and the king, and the things go around the other way, if I perish, I perish. And but God, instead of it to perish, the scepter of authority was stretched out towards Esther to grant Esther her desire. Number three, how do we demonstrate our heart to God? I said, taking action is what makes your faith to be permanent, because faith is a thing of action. And when you take action, that is where your reward will come. Now let us go to the reward of the heart after God. Reward of the heart after God. Bible speaking in book of Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 13 saying, thou shalt seek me and find me when thou shalt search for me with all of your heart. Except you seek God and find God and search God for God with all of your heart, you will not find God. That is why I said, if there is ever a man that is used by God, and this man must have been sold out to God. Everyone that God used, they are the ones that make themselves available. They say, God, I am here. Even when it is convenient. they are before God. Even when things are not convenient, they are before God. So, what are the reward of a heart after God? Number one, you will see God. It's one of the rewards of a man after God. You will see God. So, God reveals himself to people that have a heart to him. Where your heart is planted in fasting and prayer, you will see God. Remember a woman at the age of 84 years old, Anna, the daughter of Frederick. She was fasting and praying in the temple. She departed not from the temple day and night. What was she praying for? She was praying for God to restore God's people. Are you watching God's people? Drunkard. Are you watching the people of God? Womanizing. Are you watching the people of God that are under pains and affliction of the wicked? Are you watching the people of God? Moses, he has a heart for God. And so, God turned him around and made him to become leader of great people of God that brought the people out of the land of Egypt, from the land of their slavery. Moses was not comfortable with all the good things he was enjoying in the palace. Instead, he separated himself and decided to suffer even with the people of God. He separated himself from the people that are sinning and enter into the people of God's camp, and therefore he was able to see God. He was able to enjoy God's intervention. So if you truly want to hear God, then give out your heart to God. If you truly want to see God, therefore give your heart wholly and perfectly unto God. Therefore you will see God. Number two, reward of a heart after God is that God will open door of favor for you. God will open door of favor. Nehemiah, after his parenting, after God fasted and prayed and was troubled in his heart. This is not matter of pretending. And God made the king to ask, what do you want me to do for you? And also Esther, the same thing. She displayed herself as a queen. She fasted and she prayed even with Amen. And she said, if I perish, I perish. If I perish, I perish. And God granted her favor. So God will open door of favor to you whenever you are set to stand out and say, no, the people of God should not continue in poverty. The people of God should not continue in these acts of sin, because wickedness of man is abounding more and more on the face of the earth. Will you just be a believer and just fold your hands and just fold your arm and just say, well, nothing is happening? In as much as I am sure my name is written in the book of life. What about the people of God? God's greatest treasures, they are on the earth. They are plenty. And you are watching and you are still happy and you say that there's nothing that concerns you. God is asking everyone at the sound of my voice this morning that we must give our heart wholly unto God and see how God will open doors of favor for you. Number three of the reward is that men and women will give you their hands of support. Men and women, whenever you have sold out your heart to God wholly, therefore you will say that men and women, they will be compelled to obey you and also to be able to carry that vision and to move the vision forward. So as you give your heart to God, men and women, they will give their hand, because this work, you cannot do it alone. And by the time Nehemiah crossed over to the other side of the river, he was happy that the people, they all cooperated with him. Everyone cooperated with him, and this gate was built. And also the wall of Jerusalem was rebuilt. Him alone could not do it. But God is looking for that man that will single out himself to champion this revival. God is looking for that man or woman that will single out himself and stand up for this revival.
If you are looking for what to consume, you may soon be consumed. If your interest is about what to gain, the person will miss out completely, because Nehemiah did not even consider about his job. He did not even consider about the comfort of his immediate family. He did not consider even his own life. He put all before God. And what was the reward? God made him, who was a cupbearer, an ordinary cupbearer. He emerged as governor. He emerged as governor after his heart to God. Remember, Nehemiah did not get any prophet that told him that, look, you need to do so and so for God so that your position will be elevated. No. He simply saw that things of God should not continue to be wasted, and Satan rejoicing over the kingdom of God and messing up God's people. And God's people, they are going like a sheep without shepherd. They are going about scattered like sheep without shepherd. How then would I be comfortable? God is looking for a man that will decide and say, no, things will not continue to be like this upon the face of the earth. There must be revival. There must be visitation of God to his people, to change the story of his people. Therefore, the conclusion is that if there is ever a man that is being used by God, that man or woman is a person whose heart has been sold out to God. So the more of God that you wanted, therefore the more that we will have temperature, we will have a big heart towards him. The more big heart we have towards God, the more God attends to us. And seek God doing it for every one of us. In Jesus' precious name we have prayed. Amen.